It started with a chat, just a few of us there, talking about life and the stuff we all share. From kids to chaos and the mess we make, we bonded over laughs and every mistake. From bad hair days to a joke or two, no topic was off limits, nothing taboo. We laughed till we cried, had each other's backs. A sisterhood formed in the middle of tracks. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From late night texts to early morning calls, we've been through it all, big and small. From talking fashion to the crazy stuff, we've got each other's backs when life gets tough. We send memes and pics of the day gone wrong and the occasional "can you believe this song?" We share everything, no secrets to keep, like a wild dream that we never want to sleep. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From Tennessee, where the music plays, to sweet tea nights and lazy days. From England's hills to the country roads, our sisterhood's a bond that forever grows. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. Through the highs and the lows, we've been there. When the world feels heavy, we just don't care. We're loud, we're bold, we're a little bit wild, but always there for each other, with hearts so mild. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. So here's to the sisters who make life so sweet. We've got each other, no defeat. From the chat to the heart, it's all the same. We're a sisterhood forever in the friendship game. According to Leanie, the eclipse is to blame, but truly the Lord brought us together, and we'll never be the same.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I appreciate it. It's just a pop-up live. It's a pop-up live. I only gave 30 minutes notice. That happens quite often. But not the pop-up live so much, just whenever I decide to go. It's usually around the same times. But there's been a few more updates in the Nancy Guthrie case, so I wanted to come on and give you guys the update, give you the 411, let you know what's happening. Thank you guys so much for being here. Will you do me a favor and just hit the like button? That's all I ever ask of anybody to do here. Just please hit the like for me, and I appreciate it so much. We're going to get right into it. Hopefully this one, I won't be too long on this live, because I do have another one that I'm planning, part 2 of Jodi Arias tomorrow. I mean, later on tonight, probably midnight Eastern Standard Time, which is my time, that we'll be doing part 2. If you missed part 1 last night, I'm so sorry to let you guys know, but YouTube took it down. They blocked it across the board. I kind of knew that it was a big thing, that it might happen. I didn't get a strike, but I did get a copyright on it. Anytime you play 2020, which is what we played in the very beginning, pretty much you can't beat that. Like, they don't give a shit what you're doing, and so they will block it. And so I kind of knew it was going to happen, but it wasn't a big deal. I was just grateful for those that came in. It was really nice to talk to somebody who actually was incarcerated with Jodi Arias, and didn't know her personally, but saw her around, like when they're walking her out to the yard for her 1 hour outside her jail cell or whatever. She was telling us about how the inmates aren't supposed to talk to her, but weren't even supposed to look her way without getting in trouble. that she, when she was in, because she was in general population, and Jody Arias obviously is in um, uh, protected custody. So she said that she, when she was in jail, she it was very widely known that nobody cared for Jody, which doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, does anybody really care about Jody? Nobody cares about Jody, except for those crazy people out there that happen to fall in love with inmates and give them a lot of money. I guess that's what's happening. Thank you, Lolly, for being here, and everybody else in the bushes. Listen, come on down, have a chat, grab you a coffee, sit down, and let's chit chat. That's my favorite thing ever to do, is to interact with chat. Your opinion on things do not have to match my opinion. You won't be blasted here for your opinion. You're allowed to have your opinion. We just have to respect each other's right to have our own separate opinion of things, and also put it in an adult way, and not a confrontational way. So I want to get right into this right now, you guys. Thank you so much again for being here. I'm trying to figure out. Let me see. This one's a short one, so let me just pull this up. Let's read. Take a look. See at this. Here. And I don't think there are any mods here, so let me. Fair disclaimer. Fair use disclaimer. Copyright Act of 1976 gives allowance for this content to be used for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So it's a floating banner across the top. YouTube, do not come for me. I'm doing the best I can here. All right, guys. My source is the New York Post. This was put out today by the New York Post, actually at 6:18. So a little over an hour ago, they put this article out. We're going to go ahead and take a look at it and read it together and try to get rid of some of this. All right, good to see you. Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like for me. I appreciate it so much. It says FBI agents on Nancy Guthrie case zeroing in on 2 key dates, days before she was abducted. Now, you guys know we've always heard the January 11th, right? Wait, what month am I in, you guys? I just feel like this is all starting to run together for me. Yeah, January 11th, or January the 11th. And now there is another date that they're putting out that they are zeroing in on, and are actually have walked the neighborhood again. And this is FBI, guys. This is not Pima County Sheriff's Department. This is the FBI doing this. They're walking around once again to Nancy Guthrie's neighbors again, just wanting to look at video again of these 2 dates, January the 11th, and then the weekend right before Nancy Guthrie was abducted. They're also teaching people how to use how to be able to view their cameras and things like that. So they're up on it. And so that's what's new about it. So that, and then we're going to take a look at Brian Entin's latest interview that he had with a totally different neighbor. And I think this one actually is better than the first one that he did, because we got more information on this one. So let's go ahead and read this, and then we'll get right into it. Investigators searching for Nancy Guthrie are reportedly zeroing in on evidence from 2 specific dates in the day before she vanished, suggesting her kidnappers may have been casing out her Arizona home for weeks before the crime. The FBI has been asking the 84-year-old Tucson neighbors for any home security footage that they may have from January the 11th and January the 24th. You guys remember, they only asked for the 11th, right? And then the night of her disappearance as well into the early hours of the morning. Now they've added another date. Funny enough, these are both Saturday nights that they're looking at, you guys. So what did the perp have a job a Monday through Friday, and he could only commit this crime on the weekend? Was he in the neighborhood? Was he at Nancy's house 2 weekends prior, casing the joint? And then finally on the third Saturday, he actually, Saturday night going into Sunday morning, actually abducted her. That's when it was, when it, can you guys still hear me? Oh my goodness, my screen just blabbed out. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. Saturday, Jen, the week before, right. Hey, Leah, good to see you. All right, so it just makes me curious. Why the weekend? Why the weekends? I mean, is he busy? Maybe he's a busy guy. I don't know. Agents were adamant about these dates, as spoke with the neighbors about the disappearance, and even watched over the shoulders as neighbors scanned through their archives for the footage, according to Entin. Nancy vanished from her home on February the 1st, with investigators' interest in January 11th and the 24th, suggesting her captors may have been in the neighborhood at least twice before the kidnapping. The news also suggests that the FBI is retracing the steps of Pima County Sheriff's Department, which is accused of botching the investigation. Nancy, mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has been missing now for 6 weeks, with next to no breaks in the case so far, or indication that police are any closer to finding her than they were the day that she vanished. The strongest lead came from Nancy's own home Nest security footage, which captured a masked man carrying a pistol while trying to break into her house on the night she vanished. But nobody has been identified as that suspect. Several people were detained, but each was cut loose after the questioning. It doesn't, just because you're cut loose doesn't mean you're off the hook. And I'm just going to throw that in there as a dagger. And the footage had to be wrestled from the bowels of Google's databases because Nancy had not paid the subscription for her Nest camera system. Other neighbors have also released their own security footage with clips from the night Nancy disappeared, showing various cars prowling the dark neighborhood streets. And in other clips from the surrounding miles in the preceding days have captured various people apparently attempting to break into homes, though it remains unclear whether any of them have anything to do with the Nancy case. Nancy was last seen after having dinner with her daughter and son-in-law, who dropped her off at home and watched her safely enter the house. But she failed to arrive at a friend's house to watch their church's live stream the next day, and police were quickly notified. Signs of a struggle were found at her home, while drops of blood found splattered across her front steps. The suspect footage and her pacemaker disconnected from her phone, which was left behind, suggesting Nancy was taken sometime soon after 2 a.m. All right, guys, that is on that. I don't know if you guys have heard it. If you have, great. If not, then you heard it here. The ex-FBI agent said he thinks the perp was already inside the house and did those videos to make it look like an abduction. He was there to harm her. Like I said, the video looks like a decoy. They never said that before, that the family watched her. Yeah, they never said that before. And how do you watch for 2 minutes? I mean, she was a very, very slow walker, and she couldn't walk that far. It makes no sense to me. I mean, from where they would drop her off, right? Let's just pretend that we know that they pulled up to the garage. The garage came up. Let's even just say that maybe they pulled into the garage, watched Nancy walk into her door, then pulled out as soon as she shut the door behind her, and then pulled out and shut the garage door down. I mean, how do you know your mom, can get to her bed or to the couch or get something to drink and do her nightly routine before she goes to bed? I mean, I still struggle with that whole situation there. Still struggle. I've dropped my mom off to my sister's house many times, but I've never dropped my mom off. My sister comes to the door. I help my mom inside the house, give her a hug, a kiss, tell her I love her, and if they need me, call me. That's how that went down. I would never just let, you know what, I that's terrible, and I should not judge people, but I can't help but just be aggravated and not understand this way of thinking. She's an 84-year-old woman who had mobility problems, and you're just like, see ya, sucker. Yeah, I have a problem with that. The great one, Julio, is here from Australia. She says there were blood drops down the driveway too. Right. And do you know, Julio, I mean, I know you've been here since we've been covering this. We saw nobody ever even mention the blood drops. Maggie, my co-host, is the one that saw them and started talking about, are those blood drops? Are those? And we were like, how come nobody's talking about these blood drops out in the driveway? Then finally people started catching on. Even JLR and Brian Entin had not reported that in the driveway until Maggie had already seen it and seen the shirt sitting outside, and we thought it was a blue towel. We were like, well, maybe somebody got hot and just left it there. And that wasn't even talked about until week 2, you guys. Week 2. Nothing makes any sense, and it just keeps getting weirder and freaking weirder. Well, this new neighbor that he's going to talk to apparently she's being very cautious to say which neighbor she is, where she lives, what kind of footage she has, what kind of updating she's doing, as well as she should be. So kudos to her on that. But she's going to give us a whole new thought that I never even thought of about the perpetrator coming up to the front door. And I thought, oh my God, it's brilliant. I just think it's brilliant. I know Leah thinks that it is a decoy. So it's kind of like what that lady's saying, but not. So when I heard her talking about it, the neighbor talking about it with you guys, I just tend to believe she's either the neighbor directly across the street or on the other side, or maybe even the one directly behind her. Toodaloo, a motherfucker. The Chinese guy from the Hangover. Lolly says, and it seems weird to me that if it was Tomasco, he would be casing the house before. Agreed. But you know what? I don't necessarily believe that that's Tomasco on the camera. In fact, I just don't believe it is. I think it's his cronies. I think he's the one that is behind this, though. I just do. And if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong about everything that I think about this case. All right, let me pull up Brian Entin talking. No. Hold on just a second here. I might have deleted the wrong thing. Hold on. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, that's something else completely. Hold on. I knew I hit the wrong button. Let me just pull it back up. It's really easy to find. Thank you guys so much for being here. Will you do me a favor and hit the like for me? I would appreciate it so much. All right, this is okay. All right, so as you guys know, Brian went home. So did JLR. Brian actually went home before JLR did. Shout out to Brian Entin and JLR doing a fabulous job on this. I just want to hug JLR so much because he's an independent, right? I mean, he does this because he has a passion for it, and God bless him. And he deserves every good thing that could ever come to him for this. All right, let me bring up Brian Entin's latest. Make the screen. So this is Brian Entin Investigates, you guys. If you're not subbed up to him, sub up to him. Let me give him a like. And This is his home in Florida. Let me make sure, all right, let me get it big on the screen. There we go. All right, watch your ears, guys, because I can't control your volume. Take a listen to this. It's very, very interesting, you guys.
My show. I really, really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. I appreciate all the support. It is day 44 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. You can tell my backdrop's a little different. I'm home now in Florida. Came home just to kind of recharge. See my dog. See, hi, Scout. Oh, I missed her so much. She's so happy I'm home. But I'm obviously staying on the case. And there's been some developments. A new date that I have found that investigators are looking into. I just spoke to a neighbor who I hadn't spoken to before, so I'm going to get into that. Also, billboards. You guys have been sending me pictures. Billboards have now been going up in different parts of the country. And there's something else I forgot that's new today that I also got. Oh, yeah, something about Nancy's front door that someone in the neighborhood pointed out to me that I hadn't thought about before that could be important. I'm going to get into all of it in this episode. Brian Entin investigates. Hey guys, so as I said, I'm back home in Florida. I was in Arizona for 42 days, which I can't believe. I think it's the longest I've ever been away from home before. I mean, I travel every week for stories pretty much, but I don't think I've ever stayed 42 days in one place nonstop. The Idaho murders, I was there, I think for a month straight before I went home for a break. And then with Gabby Petito, I think it was the same, but Gabby Petito, where I was outside Brian Laundrie's was kind of easier because it was in Florida, so I could scoot home on the weekends sometimes. So I don't think I've ever been away from home for 42 days. But I'm not like some of you have messaged me like, oh, please don't give up on Nancy and don't stop covering the case constantly. And I'm not going to. I mean, I'm still going to be doing these episodes a lot. But I talked to my sources, like right now it just seemed like a good time to kind of just take a little recharge at home. I had some things to need to take care of. Obviously, I was a little homesick. It just felt like a good time to kind of recharge. And I'm going to obviously be going back to Arizona and staying on top of the case. And there's also some other cases and stories that I kind of put on the back burner that need my attention too. Some that you have also been following. So I'll be getting back to those too. But don't worry, like I'm not giving up on the Nancy Guthrie case. And I don't think it's going cold, by the way. Some of you have asked me that. I think it's taking some time, but I think there's going to be movement overall. But in this episode, a really interesting interview. This is a neighbor who I haven't interviewed before. Her name is Laura. She had some really interesting new information that I hadn't heard before. One is she started telling me about a new date that FBI agents are asking about and Pima County Sheriff's detectives. Remember, and you're going to hear her full interview in a second, but remember we knew about January 11th. We knew that they were keying in on January 11th and that they were asking neighbors for video from January 11th if they had seen anything suspicious on January 11th. So we knew that. But she told me that the detectives have also been asking her about January 24th, which is the first I've heard of this. January 24th would have been the Saturday before Nancy went missing. So 8 days before Nancy went missing. And again, you're going to hear her explain this, but she said specifically they were looking for video from that day. They actually helped her go through her cameras to see if she had anything suspicious on them from January 24th. It's interesting that that's on a weekend and that January 11th is also on a weekend. It's just kind of stood out to me. I don't know if they think that this suspect may have been someone who worked during the week that would come and case the neighborhood on the weekends. That I don't know, but I know that they have been interested in January 24th, which is new, and that they were also interested in January 11th. And again, you're going to hear her explain that in a second. The other interesting thing she brought up to me, which hasn't been discussed much, is that Nancy Guthrie had a security gate on her front door. If you look at this, you can see it. There's like a gate, and many of you guys probably have these. They're pretty common, but there was like a gate on the front door with a lock. And then you can see her, her normal door is behind it, but there's a security gate in the front. And Laura brought up an interesting point to me, and she just like knows the neighborhood. She has a security gate. She said, when those are locked, they're really, really difficult to get through. So she does not believe that the suspect who we saw on video was trying to get into Nancy's house through the front door, because she says if that security gate was locked, it wouldn't have worked out. It would have been very, very difficult. She believes that there may have been someone inside the house already that was about to take Nancy out, like an accomplice, and that he's at the front door waiting for them to open the door, waiting for that person to open the door so that he can assist in bringing Nancy out the front door, but that they didn't gain entry through the front door because of that security gate, she believes, which when you think about it, does make sense because those security gates, if it was locked, would be difficult to get through. And I hadn't thought about that series of events and that possibility, and the way she described it makes sense. And you'll hear her, again, explain that in detail in this interview. And one last thing, remember the pictures that we have from the front of the suspect, one of them we know is from around when Nancy went missing. And the other one, I am told, despite the sheriff sort of pushing back on this, but I have a good source on it, that they believe it's from a previous day. Whether that day is January 11th, whether that's January 24th, I don't know. But it is interesting to me, again, that they are keying in on January 11th and January 24th as two very specific dates that are also on weekends, by the way. Something else, many of you have been sending me pictures of the billboards that you're seeing now, the Find Nancy Guthrie billboards. Remember in the beginning, there hasn't been a press conference in so long, but when the FBI were part of that initial press conference, they said that there were going to be billboards like this. We weren't sure exactly where they were going to go. I know that there are some, just because you've messaged me, in the Houston area, outside Houston. I know that there's one in Southern California, these electronic billboards. So it is kind of interesting that they're not focused on just Arizona, but they seem to be popping up kind of all over the region and in other states. And I know that some of them were up this weekend because you guys saw them. So I want to get to my interview with Laura because, again, there's a lot that she talked about that I hadn't heard before. Also a really, really nice lady. It was nice meeting all these people in the neighborhood who I'm still in touch with constantly. So I wanted you guys to hear my conversation with Laura. What are your thoughts? I mean, it's now, been more than 40 days. Where's your mind at right now?
I think I've appreciated having a little bit of a break the last week or two, where it's Nancy's disappearance isn't in the media all the time, in part because it gives me a break because I've been contacted a lot. And it lets me kind of get on with my life and things that I've kind of put on hold for a while. But just like how I felt after the death of my parents, distance and time from the event gives you a little bit of calm and peace, but it also, you realize it's already been a month and I can't believe they've been gone for a month already. So it kind of both sides, feeling a bit of sorrow, along with feeling like personally it's given me a little more space with my neighbors and to kind of carry on with my life, but also in complete disbelief that we don't know where she is. And that is troubling to me. I understand it though, and I'm not faulting anybody, but does feel extra troubling. And I don't, I think about Nancy's daughters and son-in-law and grandchildren. How do they get on with their lives, and how do they get on with this, knowing that their grandmother and mother are still missing?
Yeah, the sheriff said, he was asked, do you think this person can strike again? And he said, absolutely, which is not something I've heard him say before. But then he went on to say, but we believe it was targeted, but we don't really know. Are you nervous? Are people nervous?
I saw that quote today, and I saw that he was just really talking with the NBC reporters. And I think it's a little bit ambiguous. I think it's targeted, but we're not sure. I'm just not quite sure what that means. But it did cause, my hair to raise up a bit when he said that. And it did give me, some time to think about what that means. And it made me a little bit uncomfortable being, a nearby neighbor. I was thinking about that today on my way home from my appointment. Like, okay, what does that mean? And does that mean there could be somebody else lurking around? Somebody that's just looking for easy targets? He said it was targeted, but targeted based on what? What's the target? Was it, I don't want to go through and give anybody ideas, but what was the target? Is it a ransom? Was it an easy, vulnerable person? Somebody living alone? Somebody elderly? What's the target? You know what? So, and that's what kind of went through my mind today. What is the target exactly that they're talking about? It has to be one of the above. Somebody that, you know, had some wealth, somebody who's vulnerable. Okay, one, somebody's vulnerable. Two, somebody who lives alone. Three, someone with an easy to access home. Four, I mean, you can go through 4 or 5 possible reasons she was targeted, including, you know, having a famous daughter of some wealth.
Yeah. All right, guys, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's episode, Surfshark. Have you ever tried to watch a video?
Reasons these undies will change your life. Number 1, reliable leak-proof protection.
It's a beautiful neighborhood.
Let me just stop right there and welcome everybody in. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like for me. That's all I ever ask. Name it doesn't make any sense, does it? No, none of it makes any sense. We're all just confused as we were the first day. The minute you think you've got things figured out and kind of understand a little bit of where we're going and what we're doing and how we're getting there, they throw something in. So you're not the only one, honey. We're all confused here. It's a good place to be together, that's for sure.
Do you have a sense of what may have happened? I mean, just knowing the area, I mean, what does your gut tell you?
My first thought was that it was a target based on who her daughter is. I mean, that was my sense just from the start. I didn't really consider any other possibilities, in part because I knew she lived there. I knew who her daughter was. When I would walk by, I would always, I always noticed her house and whether she was there or not, and outside. And I always thought that that was a potential, for me, the strongest possibility that maybe it was a crime of opportunity versus looking a little deeper at, other people in Tucson. This might just be someone that you became aware of that had a famous daughter. So that was always the reason I think somebody targeted, but who knows? I don't know the answer to that. And I don't like to speculate. And I always also assumed it was 2 people because of the person who was at the front door, and he was standing there. And I don't think he was the main person. I think he was the guy outside who was waiting for them to come out. Because if you have a gate like that, a security gate on the front door, you're not getting into that. You're never going to break into that security gate. I mean, I actually talked to a security guy about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he confirmed you're not breaking into those gates. So I think, and she has glass on both sides of the door, and I think he was trying to see in. So when he was standing there, he wasn't trying to figure out what to do. He was trying to look in to see what was going on. And also, because you have a security gate, the door, the wooden door, if that's open, it's hard to see inside if it's dark, because I have one of those. You can't really see if the door is open or not. So I think he was standing there waiting for someone to come out. And so I've always absolutely assumed there were at least 2 people, possibly 3. Being someone who has had to help my elderly mother at the time, who was only 120 pounds, try to get her up 3 or 4 stairs. It's hard. It's hard when someone is not wanting to be moved or is not able to move. So the thought that one person could move, a 140, 150 pound woman who's maybe not wanting to move is not, for me, reasonable to think that it would just be one person.
Like one person could do that, yeah.
Yeah, no. Having lifted my parents, right?
Yeah, I think that's one reason you talk about your parents. I think that's one reason so many people are so invested in this story.
Yeah.
Because they think about their own parents.
Yeah.
And you're always worried about your parents when they get old and people taking advantage, and you hear about all the scams today. You know what I mean? I think this resonates with people for that reason.
I think it does, and I think people. I am sure it's caused people to look at their own parents' living situation. I mean, my dad used to live right there in this. You can see in that building attached to my house, and safety. We moved him there. That was one of the reasons, for his own safety. And so you think about your parents all the time, and I'm sure. You don't want hindsight to be 2020, but unfortunately, that's when you start looking at things like many of us have. We started examining our own homes and situations, and what else are we secure? Is there something more we can do? Can I have a brighter camera? Do I need more camera?
Are you going to make changes for yourself, you think?
Yeah, without disclosing.
Yeah, I understand, but it's actually
Yeah.
making you do things.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I guess I would
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You're so close to Nancy's house. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, most people I think are kind of reconsidering their own situations and looking for vulnerabilities. In fact, I know the sheriff's department. I think they have a corps, like a volunteer corps, that will do security inspections for your home and look for vulnerabilities. And,
yeah.
and so I became aware of that, and I've been sharing that information with people who I happen to talk to.
Has the FBI or detectives, have they come here at all?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the sheriff's deputies were here twice. FBI was here probably 3 times, including last Friday. They, of course, you get a knock at the front door. I'm like, And I can see, I've got the big window there. I can see who's there, and I made him flash his badge before I opened the door, which I wouldn't have done before, to be honest. And so they came. They had more dates they wanted to look at, and we sat and looked through my cameras.
Oh, specific dates?
Yeah.
Do you mind saying what dates those were? I mean, I know January 11th has been a big one with the other name. Did that one come up?
Yeah, we went back through, and I don't know if there was more to why they asked, because I've already gone through my cameras, and really there was nothing on there but wildlife. And the other date was the 24th.
The 24th of January, they were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Do your cameras face like all over the sides of the house, or what?
I'd rather not say exactly where they face.
Yeah, I understand.
But the one that did record a series around that date were just picking up animals.
Animals,
Yeah.
Okay. But they had specific dates they were interested in.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I have to stop it every now and then because I want to keep my channel. There was somebody in here last night when we were talking, or the night before last night when we were talking about the Nancy Guthrie case the last time I was on, and he was talking about how he lives in the community and how it's changed. Everybody is updating their gear and their cameras and their security and their lighting around there as well. So as it should be, I guess. I mean, some of you guys know that have been here forever. Where my daughter lives, the house right across the street from hers, the year that she moved in, which was 4 years ago, I think, there was a murder also there of a lady who was about my age, and she was murdered by knife as well, and they have not solved that crime. And unfortunately, they live in such a small community. Not everybody's cameras were working. They had cameras, but not everybody's cameras were working, and it changed. It changed the whole. My daughter, she said her house is lit up like the 4th of July at nighttime now because of it. Unfortunately, it takes something bad like this to happen to make us step our game up and try to live safer than what we really do, because we're just too trusting of people. All right, back to this. Let's see.
Anything else they asked you that sort of stood out?
Get tax expertise without hidden fees. Switch to a TurboTax
No, I think they just wanted to, maybe it was a different group of people, I'm not sure. I mean, it wasn't the same guys who came, but they just basically asked the same questions that I'd been asked before. We spent about maybe 25 minutes together. And that was it. We went through. I think in some part they want to make sure that people understand how to look through their cameras, and they're looking. And of course I do.
Yeah.
It's just I don't really have anything to show them, unfortunately. There's nothing on there. But I think in part they wanted to make sure that people, were accurately looking through the footage.
Yeah.
And I think in some cases I do know of some people that just turned over their footage and said, you can, here's all these dates, please take a look. Mine aren't really worth doing that because there's not much on there.
Has there been anything that stood out to you since you lived here for more than a decade? Like anything strange that's ever happened? Well, I'll ask you that first.
Yeah, one time I had some friends who were here. I was out, they were staying here, and they told me, hey, just let you know, there were some people that walked up to the front of your house and they were taking a bunch of pictures of your house from the front. And I was just, I didn't hire anybody to do any work, and I didn't give any permission to take pictures of the front of my house. And if you can see, you can't see the front of my house from the street.
Right.
You have to walk up my driveway. And so that was alarming. And I thought about that the other day, but this was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm just going to assume that they liked the look of my house.
Yeah, well, you do have a very nice house. So.
I just want to assume that maybe they liked the way it looked, but that was a little, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen that before.
Well, and like you said, your house is like you really have to come up to it.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near the road. One thing I've heard a lot from neighbors is, and even from some of my sources, is like there's a thought that one possibility is the person who did this could be close by, just because they haven't been able to track the cell phone from what we know from outside. You know what I mean? Like,
that's weird to me. I don't. And they did actually check. Actually, one more question that they did ask me last Friday is whether my internet went down that night. And I said if it did, I was asleep, and it probably came up the next day. And plus, I have a new internet service from that time to 2 weeks ago. I had to change internet service. So, but I looked back on my Xfinity account to see if it cut out, but I didn't find anything.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, that's, it's entirely possible, but I kind of know who's in these, and they're all like me, they're all meaning, they're all kind of normal people.
Yeah.
I did, notify the, like day 1 or 2 or 3, notified I got a call with, I think it was a special agent, I think it was FBI, that there was a recent turnover, and there's not that many rentals around here, but there is a rental nearby, and whoever lived there had moved out within a few days of this happening. They had moved out a few days before because the cars were gone. So I just became, see something, say something. So I thought it's probably nothing, but I'm just gonna,
right.
I'm gonna call. I'm gonna talk to them and just let them know that there was somebody living there and they're not there anymore. And so I confirmed with a couple of the neighbors, did in fact you see those cars aren't there? He said, yeah, they just moved out.
Yeah.
And these neighbors that I spoke with didn't have any footage of it because it stops at their driveway.
Well, that's the thing people don't get is the footage here. People's houses are set back.
Yeah.
It's not like footage from the front door is gonna get people out on the street or
Well, and I think in neighborhoods where it's just a regular neighborhood, houses are closer together, and they're not set back behind, greenery, trees, shrubs. It wouldn't be that out of ordinary to catch cars passing by. I know in California, my house did. Every time I got in my car in the driveway, my neighbor's lights would go on from across the street.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but I realized it's probably a good thing,
right.
that anytime there's motion in my driveway, his cameras pick up my every movement. So so this is just not the kind of neighborhood where there are those kind of people. I pretty much know in all those houses, I know who lives in all those houses around the corner. I'm not going to stay the street, but around the corner. I know her next door neighbor. I know the people up the cul-de-sac. I know who everybody is. So it's, you know, they're kind of all.
What's the mood among the neighbors? I mean, you seem pretty calm.
It varies. I mean, I'm always pretty calm, you know, because it's, you know, the wheels just start spinning, and I want to go and find out what's going on. I'm not the person who goes and tries to pretend like it's not happening, or I want to know what's going on. And I went out and talked to neighbors. I checked on some of my older neighbors to make sure they were okay within days of that happening, because I hadn't seen my one neighbor walking his dog, and I kept going to his house to see if he was there. You know, so that's, you know, I kind of, you know, you see there's quite a few older folks in the neighborhood, and I like to consider I'm not one of the oldest in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like I have the bandwidth to go and check on a couple of neighbors, and like the people right across her on the cul-de-sac, you know. So I think people have different, you know, there are people who don't want to you know, they try to stay as far away from this as possible. They know what's going on, but they don't want to obviously talk to reporters. And I understand that for sure. They don't want to, but everybody's still, I talked to some neighbors a couple of days ago, and everybody's still, you know, pretty broken up about it.
Yeah, most of the neighbors.
Some people are still pretty traumatized.
I think so.
The ones who are more of her peers have known her for a long time.
And most of the neighbors have been like, "Oh, we're happy it's still on the news.
Yeah.
You guys should stick around. Like, we want them to find Nancy." There's been a few who have said, you know, "Get out of here. You know, it's time. You're vultures." It's been kind of a mix. You know, but most people, I think, want it to stay kind of top of mind in some ways.
Yeah, I probably would put myself in that group because, and it's helpful to the Guthries. The more it stays in the news, top of mind, the more people, you know, the chips are probably slowing down, right? And the more it stays in the news, the more people say, "Oh, that's right. Whatever happened with that case?" So it keeps it top of mind, and I'm sure that it's helpful to law enforcement to keep it out there versus people forgetting about it. I think for me personally, I don't mind it, but then again, I don't live right next door.
Right. Yeah. I won't say where you are, but you're close. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I'm close.
Yeah.
You know, backyards.
Yeah.
But you know, I know that there was somebody poking around in my neighbor's backyard at 3 a.m. last week. And he wasn't like one of you kind of media guys. He's a new media guy, you know, like a YouTube media.
In the night, you said?
YouTube guy. 3 a.m. She happened to be out with her dogs, letting her dogs out. She's like, "Who are you? What are you doing?"
On her property?
Well, her property, the neighbor's property comes up to her wall, and they were on the other side. So it was technically her neighbor, but she was out in her yard. It'd like seeing somebody on the other side of my wall there. And she went and talked to him. It's like, you know, you can't be there. You're trespassing on somebody's property. And people have guns around here. You know?
Yeah.
Some people have guns, and some people are more than happy to, you know.
Also in the middle of the night like that. I mean,
3 a.m. And he came up and talked to her, but that's still not okay. I mean,
that's really scary.
Yeah. So I think people see all this open space, and I think well, I'm going to find her. I'm going to claim that money, and I want to be the one to find her. And so I'm going to step over there because there's no houses and there's all this open land, but it's actually somebody's property. You can see back here, there's, you know, 2 or 3 acres back here, and it belongs to someone, right? So that's the sort of thing people don't like.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Want people to step over the line.
Yeah.
You know, and for the most part, media, people like yourself understand, you know, you have to, you know, to get information, you have to be able to be assertive, and you have to be able to go up to people, and you have to, you know, and for the most part, people understand that, and they'll say yes or no, I don't want to talk, or I do want to talk. But it's these other people that aren't media trained. They don't know what the rules are, the laws are, that, you know, I think for some people has been a nuisance.
Have you had any frustrations with law enforcement? I mean, we've heard so much about the sheriff since we got here.
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
The number one food for regular.
No, my first thought was hearing him talk. It was a little cringeworthy, because I thought, oh man, that was not probably the best thing to say. But I can't say that he's not doing his job, because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe he's not as well media trained. I don't know. But so I can't criticize what he's doing, because I don't know what's happening. And that's okay. We should not know everything that's happening. It's really, if it in any way impacts the investigation, if it negatively, impacts the investigation, or it's giving too much information, just because people want to know doesn't mean they should. So I don't know which way. I don't know if he's doing a good job or a bad job. I just know that it's not necessarily my business. And if I don't like it, then there's the next election,
Right.
But I think it's just he caught off guard with the media. And I understand that there was some things going on there too with his personal life. So.
Anything else that you think is important?
No, other than that,
hasn't been reported or that people, should know?
No, I just hope that people keep thinking about this case. I hope that people will continue to keep especially people in Southern Arizona, keep their eyes open. I can tell you, every time I go out in public, I am looking. It's like I've got Google glasses on, and I'm putting my little AI on faces to see because I feel like I know what this person looks like. As soon as we saw the image, I said, this is how tall he is. This is how much he weighs. He's got bow legs. He's got lady hips.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I was like, okay, I know who this person, I don't know him, but I know what this person looks like. And I think a lot of people kind of figured out, some people thought it was a woman. I don't think so. And so, keep your eyes open, and probably nothing that the sheriff hasn't already said to people. But I personally am always, kind of scanning when I go out, to be honest. At some point it will probably stop. I'll start forgetting, but for now.
Probably smart to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and anybody walking up my driveway is gonna, I'll probably put up signs, no trespassing signs.
Yeah.
Myself, so that I don't have to get into a situation where, it's a terrible thing. Because at one point in our, history over the 30 years, it'd be fine for somebody to come to your front door. And they still do here, believe it or not. I have people coming and trying to sell me things to my front door.
Well, I was kind of nervous coming to your front door, just because it's a walk up, and I'm like, gosh, I feel like people are on edge here. So for a guy to walk up, I'm just like,
Oh, I knew who you were, though. But no, it's, my dogs always tell me when somebody's coming up the driveway.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have big dogs too, so.
Yeah, and I knew, I recognized you. But it's, you can see in my house, and I can see who's coming up the driveway from over that corner and that corner. So I'm not overly worried, but I am probably a little bit more aware, because the person coming to your house, it says they're trying to sell you their truckload of asphalt, or they see that I could use a yard service, or I could use a new roof. Maybe that's not really what they're selling.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to come up to the door and see who's here.
Just my last thing, a lot of people have brought up like contractors. I guess that's a thing here, where there's just kind of, I hate to say shady contractors, but some people have told me that, like, there's people coming around, oh, let me clean your windows, let me look at your roof,
Well, there's a lot you can see. You've probably heard some of it going on. Just right near her house, there was a new roof. Somebody got a new roof the last 2 days. In the cul-de-sac over there. He moved. He's moving. He moved to San Diego. He was planning on it already. So there were people there, and I was watching, because I could see from my back of my house who was up there. Over there is construction. There's always construction. Somebody's doing something to their house. They're doing an addition or doing a new roof or something, remodeling. And so there's people around. And so I had said that previously to someone, that at any given point, there are a lot of vehicles around. Most of the time you see who most of the times you see what the name of the construction company is. But there are a lot of them. And I can tell when I was standing on her street talking to a neighbor a couple weeks ago about something else, I could tell there were cars driving by, and I was just talking to her. I said, look, they don't live here. They don't live here. They don't live. I can tell who lives here because you see them around, and they have Arizona plates usually when they live here. You know, they don't have plates from a rental car, rental company. So when trucks come around, to be honest, now I'm probably gonna, if there's unmarked vehicles, trucks, vans, trucks, service vehicle, I'm gonna be looking a little bit harder, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I hate that I have to do that, but I just, for now, feel compelled to be looking over our shoulders a little bit more, especially since the sheriff said it's targeted, we think, and everybody should be on alert, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you. Really appreciate Laura for taking the time to talk with me. Again, I'm staying in touch with everybody in the neighborhood, and I'll keep you guys posted if there's any updates. It's interesting. It's really hot today in Florida. You forget it's like a different kind.
There you go. There you go. There is the latest from Brian Entin. We love him so much. Thank you, Brian. I thought it kind of funny when she said, I know who this person is. And then of course I'm doing a double take of the TV, like, okay, who do you think it is? And then when she said she doesn't know him personally, but she knows him. And how many times somebody has sent me pictures, or we pulled up pictures of this dude or the perp or whatever, and we're just like, where do we know him from? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's been like 3 or 4 different people that we're questioning who they are and how they would fall into all of this. And we're just like, God, they look so familiar. Where do we know that person from? So I get what she's saying. I don't exactly know what she means by the lady hips, unless she means that they're just wider or bigger. But I don't, in her his legs are so skinny, but his hips are bigger. I don't know if that's what she means by that. I was just joking around, because when I don't know, well, I just have to joke sometimes. Brian reminds you of a young Elvis. Oh, he's so dreamy. I love his eyes so much. But anyways, that really struck me, that part of it. And then the other thing that struck me about this interview is when she said that she had to switch her internet. Did you guys catch that? She said, I had to switch my internet so I wouldn't have been able to catch anything on a certain night anyways. Remember when all this came out and they were talking about, Brian was asking her about that he had heard that, there's always contractors in the neighborhood doing some kind of home, repair or whatever. And we had heard that Nancy had some kind of contractor at her house the week that she went missing. And we talked about how, or I had said that, could it have been that, because she said that she upgraded. And then when we started this, I was like, I've just got a feeling that maybe somebody who was helping plan this kidnapping is the one that actually turned the subscription off in the name of telling Nancy, hey, we're going to upgrade your system. You know what I mean? And if somebody comes to your house, hey, we're going to upgrade your system. All right, cool. It ain't going to cost nothing. Go ahead, do your thing. You know what I mean? Is that what happened? Is that why there was no real subscription paid? Because that don't make a lick of sense. You've got a kid who's a multimillionaire and you don't have a paid subscription. That makes no sense to me. So I've always thought that the people that were at her house doing some of the work on her house that week, could have very well been there as a guise just to be able to cut her subscription to her nest. Who knows? We don't know. The other thing that I found interesting, and it wasn't mentioned in here, I forget where I saw it. I think I saw it in comments somewhere on somebody's live, and they were talking about how, and I don't know how true this is because I don't have the records of her pool guy, but they were saying, isn't it funny how right after Nancy goes missing, the pool guys still come out, clean the pool, but it hadn't been done the month prior. And so I thought about that for a second because some people do think that the pool is involved. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's, I mean, is there enough time to go? Why would a pool be involved other than a drowning? And I don't, that just don't make any sense to me either. But maybe the pool guys, that was their first visit of the season. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that when it's their off season, we're not really swimming, because even though to us who live in cold climates, we always think Arizona would be hot or nice and warm. To them, if it gets down in the 60s and 50s, y'all, they're freezing. They're freezing their butts off. So I wouldn't imagine that they would be swimming. Us, we'd be like, let's go swimming. You know what I mean? So they do still have seasons for pools. So maybe she only got it cleaned out every other month during the colder seasons. I don't know. I will never understand why there was even a pool cleaning crew allowed around the house. But then again, I don't understand why the police ever released the crime scene. I mean, and nothing is making sense. Nothing. But this is one thing I will say, and I'm going to close down my life here pretty quickly. I'm starting to really, and I don't know if y'all heard me say that word, but let me say it again, really get the idea that for sure they know who did it. And they are just waiting till he makes a mistake so they can prove it. That's the only way I can imagine Savannah going back home, and other than to be a mom to her kids, you know. But I'm starting to believe that they know who did it. But then when I think about the FBI actually retracing the steps of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, then I think, well, maybe they don't have a clue. My hope is that they know who did it. I just watched a documentary the other day, and I forget who it was. I was going to try to play it on here for you guys one of these days because I thought it was so good. And it was about a man who killed his wife. Go figure, like that never happens. And they were having to try the case without a body. They got enough information that they believed that he had killed his wife. And then, of course, right before they went to trial, they ended up finding her body. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I wanted to actually do some more research on how many times they actually take something like this to trial without a body. Now, that's not my hope. I hope that they find Nancy one way or the other, and these perps get caught, because I do believe it's more than one. They get caught and they're brought to trial. But I mean, my fear also is that she lives in the desert, and we all know, we've all heard the stories. We've all been watching this since day one, that putting bodies in a desert is not uncommon. It's a quick way to get rid of them. And that's my fear, is that it'll be years before there's any bones found. And so if they catch these idiots who did this, will they have to try this case without a body? I'm just curious as to what the statistics are on that. So I'm going to be doing some research on that. Listen, I'm going to let you guys go. The Bill of Rights information out there, you just got to go seek it. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. This was just a quick pop up live because there was some information that came out and I wanted to get it out to you guys. I'm still going to try to do part 2 of the Jodi Arias case that we have been going back over tonight at midnight my time. It just depends on if I'm awake or not, because I'm late getting a nap if I'm going to go live at nighttime. So my plan is to get a nap and then try to get back here for the part 2 of going over the Jodi Arias case that I was asked to cover. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. We've got eyes on this. Unfortunately, it's slow right now, sadly, and there's not a lot coming out from this. But we've got eyes, not just me, not just Maggie, my co-host, but all of you that are here with me all the time. We're all watching this. We're all watching. So believe me, as soon as I hear something, I will jump on here. And even if it's just me and one other person, I'll still report on it. So I'm still watching. But in the meantime, you know, we're going to fill in spaces with other silly stuff like other true crime cases, hauls. I like to do thrift hauls and all kind of stuff. So stick around if that's your jam. Become a part of the community and hang out here. I think we're kind of cool. That's just me though. All right, guys. I love you so much. Thank you for coming in, and I will see you guys next time.